What is going on, Jet fans? Matt O'Leary back with another video, and in today's video I want to talk about some notes that we got from yesterday's OTA practice. Yesterday we were talking about a New York Jets rookie and Malachi Corley and his impact on the offense. Was really excited to get into that one. In this one we're going to focus on yet another Jets rookie. This is the third day in a row we're talking about a Jets rookie, and then also kind of going to get into some changes that the Jets are making on offense, which are welcomed changes, believe me. Wanted to give a shout out to Brandon Pockris of Jet X Factor, who was in attendance for OTAs again with the season ticket holders. Last week he was there and we were able to use his notes because, again, like it's very, very challenging when there's no reporters, because I love when the reporters are at OTAs because they're live tweeting it, they're keeping stats. It's really fun for guys like me who come on and just, you know, react to whatever's happening that day in Jets land. And it's significantly harder when you don't have the media there, but we had some live tweets from the fans, so shout out to all the Jets season ticket holders who were there. And we're going to run through Brandon's notes here because I think he brings up a lot of interesting points from what we've seen so far at OTA practices. His first one, Garrett Wilson is going to have a big year, seemingly open on every play and building his connection with Rodgers even more. Again, really not a surprise at all. Because last year we were all hoping that Garrett Wilson and Aaron Rodgers connection would be a big one. And I think it was through training camp and even the first drive of the preseason against the New York Giants when they go down the field and score a touchdown. And it's just Garrett Wilson right down the field pretty much. And then they get in the end zone. He catches a touchdown pass and they're on their merry way. It would have been nice to see them over a full season, but Garrett Wilson's still very productive with the 3 rotating cast of characters at quarterback that you had last year. So I think with Rodgers, there's no doubt in my mind that he's going to have a big year in 2024. Okay, the second bullet point is someone that I really, really wanted to get into today because this guy keeps shining in coverage, and that's Qwan'Tez Stiggers. He had a pick 6 yesterday at OTA practice. Also, you had... Was it yesterday? Yeah, I guess it wasn't yesterday's video, or maybe it was 2 days ago. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But Allen Lazard's struggles was against Qwan'Tez Stiggers, and I got some pushback in the video, and I think what I said was maybe not exactly how I wanted it portrayed. Where I was putting down, it wasn't like I was putting down Qwan'Tez. It was more of for Allen Lazard, talking about how he was getting beat by a 5th round rookie. And people were like, well, Qwan'Tez is going to be really good. And there's a chance that he could. Just my point was, optics wise, it's not great for a seasoned vet who is getting $11 million to getting worked by a rookie in his first OTAs, no matter if they were taking the 1st round, the 5th round. So I apologize if it came off as I was putting down Qwan'Tez Stiggers. I didn't mean it in that light. It was more of a, unfortunately, just some concern about Allen Lazard. But he was great the other day in OTAs, and that continued again yesterday as he made a big play. And supposedly every time he makes a big play, the entire defensive unit goes absolutely nuts. I think he's going to be a fan favorite, number 1. And number 2, I think he's going to be a favorite in that locker room. So excited to watch him this summer. Also, it's very evident that Robert Saleh is making an effort to be more involved in the offense, which, as I've said for the last couple of weeks now, it's about time. But I think as the head coach, that should absolutely be what he needs to show attention to all 3 units: offense, defense, special teams. And in the past, he's been heavily involved in the defense, and I get it. He's a great defensive coach. The Jets have gotten a ton out of this unit the last 2 years, probably will again in year 3 or in this 3rd year here. But the offense has been lacking the entire time that he's been here now. Does a lot of it have to do with quarterback play? That's a big chunk of it. Offensive line play also plays a factor. Injuries, the whole thing. We get it. There's many factors to go into why the Jets have struggled so much on offense, but it's important that he puts in this major emphasis. Now, on the 2 rookie running backs, Braylon Allen supposedly looked good again as a pass catcher, which I'm surprised about. And by the way, he looked just absolutely phenomenal. There's a picture going around pretty viral on Jets Twitter with him out there. He looks... If you told me with no context, like this guy plays, you know, defensive end, they'd be like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But he just looks like an absolute tank out there. But the reason why I say that it's a little bit surprising is not because I don't think Braylon Allen is talented. I do. I was very excited about that pick in the 4th round. He just really wasn't used at all as a pass catcher at Wisconsin. So I didn't know if it was more of a scheme thing or if that just really wasn't a part of his game. But if he's developing that, that just makes him a more well-rounded player. And like Brandon says here, I think it is his RB2 job to lose. And I don't think he does it. I think he's going to end up being this team's RB2 and a pretty darn good one. Supposedly, Isaiah Davis looks explosive and quick. Good depth piece. I think, you know, him and Izzy probably fighting for that RB3 role. And we'll see what happens there. He kind of fits, Davis that is, the mold of what the Jets offense is going to be looking to do this year, I would imagine, a little bit more than Izzy Abanikanda, which again, maybe not great, but we're going to continue to get into the running backs with these next 2 notes where Tariq Cohen, the newest New York Jet, says supposedly he looks shifty and explosive right away. He's been running with the first team, which is a good sign for him and maybe a good sign that he ends up making this team. Again, it's only, you know, he's had 2 practices with the Jets, so I don't want to go definitive. He's making it, Izzy's not making it. It might be a little premature for that, but like these are the things you have to watch for throughout the summer to see where these guys are running, and that gives you an idea of what the depth chart is looking. And early indications is that Cohen might be in front of Izzy Abanikanda. We'll see there. Supposedly, Izzy had no reps with the first or second teams, which is not great. That's not a great sign. I don't want to give up on him yet. I think, again, if we're having this conversation in July where it's still he doesn't get any reps at the first or second teams, then I would agree with the last point of this note, which that he could be a trade or cut candidate. We'll see if anything happens with Izzy. I'm not going to write him off completely now in June, the first day of June, but that is absolutely something that I think you have to keep an eye on. And again, we'll see if he ends up being a trade or cut candidate after 1 year. That'd be unfortunate. This next note, I think, is sneaky one of the most important things that was reported or talked about so far in Jets OTAs, which is the Jets have used a lot of motion and condensed formations in the offense. Now, that is something they did not do at all last year. They used motion on just 15.6% of snaps on offense, which was 22nd in the NFL. Now, usually I am of the belief that motion is extremely important in the modern NFL. And I'll read you the teams that were top 5 in motion. The Dolphins, Rams, 49ers, Packers, and Lions. What do those 5 teams have in common? Well, they were all playoff teams, number 1. And number 2, they all had good offenses. So I'm not saying if you just, you know, oh, just motion and you're going to be great. No, there's obviously more to it than just that. But I think it significantly helps. And the Jets really were stubborn against using motion, and I think it's something that they should add to the offense, and I'm glad that they're doing it a little bit more. Do they have to be a top 5 unit in the league? No, that might not be what the Jets are looking to do. And I'm not saying they have to lead the league in motion. They just have to do it a little bit more than 15% of the time. I think it makes things a little bit easier for you on offense. Apparently, Sauce Gardner is already traveling, which is good. We are going to be watching all summer to see how much he travels. I don't really want to see him in any of those preseason games, or really, I could do without the, you know, the combined practices that they have against their 3 preseason opponents. I don't know if we need Sauce out there covering, you know, some guy who's going to end up being a practice squad guy, but in this season, I'm curious to see how much they end up traveling him. I know Robert Saleh kind of like, it's like, well, it's going to vary week to week. I don't know if that's his actual belief or if he's just saying that because he doesn't want to show his cards, which is completely fair to the rest of the league. So that is absolutely something we're going to watch more of, and I think he could handle it. I really do think Sauce Gardner can handle traveling. A couple other notes. Lazard up and down, had some really nice catches and some easy drops, which is very frustrating for Alan Lazard. I agree with Brendan's assessment here. With his best role is as a depth piece, not as a starter. I don't want to see him anywhere close to the top 3 receivers right now. I think he's in wide receiver or at wide receiver 4. But honestly, apparently Brownlee and Harrell were good at camp this week. And if Jason Brownlee can jump Alan Lazard on the depth chart, I'd be for that, honestly. I think that would be something that's best for all parties involved, if we're being completely honest with you. But anyway, those are the main takeaways from OTAs on Friday. I want to hear from you guys what your thoughts are on the biggest notes and takeaways. Sound off in the comments. I'm Matt O'Leary, and I'll catch you guys next time.